What's good, people? It's your boy Jay the Actor here with our brand new show, Really Now. Brand new web show that we got. I promise you, we talked about it for a while and we finally here. So we got our brand new web show, Really Now. Basically, the idea of this show is that we're going to have our viewers submit questions on a weekly basis to be answered on this show. Each week we'll have different guests. So depending on which week, it could be somebody totally different. So it may vary from time to time. So with that, we have a special edition of the show. This week's topic is going to be what I don't understand about men. So as you already know, or you may not know, Jay Weeks Entertainment does have our brand new show, What Men Don't Say, which is going to be June the 30th and July 1st at the Durham Arts Council. Ticket information is available at jweeksentertainment.com. So you can go in there and find out any information. But it's a special edition of the show. Today we're going to pretty much delve into that by selecting this topic of what I don't understand about men. So we got a really good show for you. Thank you to all the ladies that submitted your questions. And we're just going to get into it. But before I start today, I got my guest, my man, Mr. Tim Jones. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Thank you, Mr. Weeks. Glad to be here. That I can lend a hand and get some of the questions answered for the ladies out there.
Gotcha, man. Good stuff. So we got a lot of good questions, man. So hopefully, you know, the people that did submit the questions can get some answers and, you know, kind of some insight from a male perspective. Of course, I had to bring somebody in so they don't just get a one-sided opinion on everything. Absolutely. So other than that, man, we just about to get into it, man. You ready?
I'm ready, man.
All right, man. Let's get it. First question we have, what are 3 things that you look for in a woman? So I'm going to go ahead and let you start off that one, man. What are 3 things that you look for in a woman?
Ooh, it's good stuff, man. First off, you know, again, because we're men, you know, we're a little different. So we're more visual. So I'm looking for something that's going to stand out, that's going to draw my attention to it. It could be a smile. It could be the way she does her hair. It could be, you know, several different things, man. But just something to draw my attention to. Secondly, I would say pretty much just the way she carries herself. You know, if she, you know, walks around with a, you know, certain air, like she's happy to be around, happy to be there, you know, that's going to draw my attention. Thirdly, I would say, you know, just the fact that, you know, she seems like she can take care of herself, take care of her own business, you know, necessarily need me around, but, you know, we can come together, you know, we can do something special, you know.
Cool, man. Good things. 3 things I look for in a woman. Let's see. I have to say, man, first, she has to be funny. Has to be funny. Everyone knows I like to laugh, like to tell jokes, so she has to make me laugh, be funny, or at least have a sense of humor, man. That's always important to me. Next thing, she gotta be career and goal driven, man. Gotta have some goals and, you know, be focused on trying to get a career, you know, not just being a job. So, and lastly, man, I'd probably say she has to have, you know, some type of relationship, you know, with God, man, because that's super important to me, man.
Absolutely.
So those are my 3 things. So whoever answered that question got your answer. So moving on to the next thing we have, is it possible for a man to have a serious relationship with a woman with kids from a previous relationship? That's one of those you know, kind of hard topics. For me, I mean, I think that has to do with, you know, being secure, you know, in your own self. And, you know, because with that comes a lot of responsibility, you know, because you don't know if the guy is, you know, they had a good relationship and ended bad, or if it's anything where they had a bad breakup, or it could be all various things, you know, the guy could not be there. So I think really you have to look at yourself and see, is that something that you're willing to deal with? I mean, because a lot of people are not. You know, so I say it is possible if you have the correct guy who's willing to accept all the responsibility and everything that comes with it, and not just end it, you know, just for the sake of, I want to be with you. Because, you know, when you look at that, it all boils down to, you know, it's a package deal. So if that man is secure in himself and, you know, he's willing to take those responsibilities, I think it's possible. So I definitely think, you know, that's something that they can make it happen. So definitely think that's possible. Let's see what we got next. Can a man stay in an abstinent till marriage relationship with a woman for 6 months without cheating? Messing with a woman for 6 months
without cheating.
I'm gonna let you take a stab at that one. Let's see what you got to say about
Wow, that's a good question right there, man. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. if a man is that serious about you, if a man cares about you, he'll do it. You know, obviously, if he decides not, he wasn't the one for you. You know, it's a commitment thing, and if he's willing to realize that that's the way the package is going to be delivered, that's how it's going to come to him, he should be willing to wait for it. And I think the right man can. I really think so.
That's dope. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you hit on a lot of good things, man. You have to be, somebody who's ready to deal with that, because a lot of times people try to, be with people, for physical attractions or, sexual and everything, but you have to, understand what it is, and be, have the same, aspirations, goals, and everything yourself, because if that's something that you're not into, if you're looking for more of a physical, you can't go in there under false pretense and, pretending to be that you're for that, hoping you can kind of tear off that path. So they have to be dedicated for the same thing that you're doing. So
absolutely,
really good stuff, man. Really, really good stuff. Next question we have: what are the signs of a desperate woman when she's into a man? So I guess they're trying to say, what are the signs when a woman is being desperate when she's trying to go after a man? So I would say the fact. Let's see, desperate woman. I would have to say if she's calling this guy, 10 to 15 times, you know what I'm saying, and he has no response, and you've shown up to his job, and you texting him and following his Twitter and twatching, as they say, going on Facebook and doing those things, man, and he's not getting a response. I mean, you're not getting a response. I think that may be considered, I don't necessarily say desperate, but I can say it's a role reversal. Instead of being chased, you are now, the person chasing. So I think that will be more of a turnoff, at least in my opinion. I feel like, the guy wants to be the person that he can go after you and, chase you. But if it's reversed where, you're calling him every 5 minutes and he say he call you back and you call him before he even, called you or, texting him and everything like that, I think then it comes to a point that you're kind of being not a little desperate, but a little anxious. Not trying to waste your time. Being a little anxious for that one. So you gotta kind of understand, what it is. You gotta kind of know the signs. If you texting him and he don't respond back, and then hey, 5 text messages later you still ain't got no response, you might want to fall back. Give him some little time. That's just how I look at it.
Absolutely.
Definitely that.
Absolutely.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get to the next one, man. What we got here? Why is it so hard for a man to believe what women say? So, why is it so hard? So, I'm gonna go ahead and let you, try a stab at this one.
Why that's a tough one. That's a really tough one right there. Wow. I think it's more or less your track record. You know what I mean?
Okay. Tell me about it a little bit.
Did you give him something, to go on with that? Did you give him something to think about with that? Have you done that previously and you told him one thing and you did something different? Or, you got to realize that, everybody has their issues. Some men have more trust issues than most, but
right.
If you give him something to make him not trust you and not believe your word, then there you have it. What else can you say? Wow, it is what it is. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, and also along that same lines, I factor in you got to flip it too, because it could be the guy too. Things that maybe he's experienced. He might have had a crazy chick.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
So he probably factor in. Well, maybe she like the same chick. Before. So I think really you have to look at yourself and see. Is that. Because if you go into a relationship the same as you did before, it's probably you're gonna get the same results. You know what I'm saying? So if you expecting, well, she say she one place, but if she not, you probably gonna get the same thing. Exactly. So I think it all depends on the situation. And guy, like you said, track record definitely plays a factor. You can't go into the next relationship the same way you did, previous for that one. So yeah, that's definitely a touchy one, man.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. So next one, man. Wow, this one. Are you ready for this one, man?
I'm ready. Bring it.
Man, this one says, what does commitment really mean to a man? So Tim, man, let's see. What is commitment to you? When you think of the word commitment, what is it to you? How would you define it in Tim Jones vocabulary? Break it down for us, man.
All right, I'm gonna speak on that a little bit.
Okay, talk to him. Let him hear what you got to say.
Commitment obviously can mean different things, different people. you know, as for me, if a woman is committed to me, that means she's gonna be with me through the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever goes on. You know, she's gonna be with me. She's gonna ride for me.
Yeah,
you know, and just to be honest, you know, I think people take that word commitment and, you know, they don't really know the full meaning of that. And for guys, a lot of times it's hard for guys to commit because of possibly what they've seen, you know, beforehand, what they've seen their fathers or their grandfathers and what they went through or whatever. And they may have seen a woman that was a nagging woman, a woman that was doing this and that, and they equate what happened with their father or their grandfather, what have you, to, you know, oh man, if I get married, if I have to commit to a relationship, oh, that's what I'm gonna be dealing with. Nah, I don't want to do all that. Right, it takes somebody, number one, to be a grown man, you know, to commit, because you got to realize there comes responsibility with that. And for me, that's how I feel about it.
That's good. So let me ask you this though. So when you hear commitment, and you know, a lot of ladies feel like, you know, guys, he don't want to commit, he don't want a relationship title. Do you think is it based on history of that, you know, guy, you know, or the single mother raising, you know, kids by herself trying to teach that young boy to be a man? Do you think that also plays a factor with commitment?
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. I would say because, you know, unfortunately, with a lot of black men, we are raised by our mothers. So, you know, a mother can't teach you how to be a man.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, when you're in a situation where dad has left, he's ran out or whatever, you know, it's kind of hard to break that mold. It's like for lack of a better term, it's like a generational curse. You know, it's reoccurring over and over again, and it takes a special person to break that. You know, just having the right guidance, and you know, maybe somebody in their life that they can see an uncle or somebody that's going through a good relationship and that's committed and can teach them some things that they can build on for themselves. But you're right, man. It's all about what they've seen and being a product of your environment.
Yeah, and I know me, you know, I personally was raised, you know, by my mom. You know, my mom was my dad, you know. So
there's two of us.
Growing up, man, I mean, it was super hard, you know, trying to be, you know, this strong male figure, you know, and my mom can only do so much with trying, you know, to raise a man and everything of that. So that's super hard. But to me, when I think of the word commitment, I kind of, you know, look at myself and I say commitment to me is knowing, you know, that this is what it is. You know, I'm with you. You know, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, I know and I'm confident in what I have with you. That means, you know, if I'm with you hanging out, you know, that's my woman. You know, being able to acknowledge this person in public, around your family, your friends, whatever, your boys, because a lot of women don't understand. Whatever that guy introduces you as, that's what it is. If he say, this is my friend, you his friend.
Speak on it.
Point blank.
That's it.
So, and a lot of people don't really, you know, a lot of women don't want to accept that, you know, they have, you know, well, you know, he says this, so we hang out with this and this, so that means it's that. But I think it's all about, you know, how he, you know, designate who you are. And with me, so commitment to me is not only, you know, being out with that person and being able to say that, but knowing that you have something special with that person, you know, and a lot of people don't have that to say. So commitment to me is being solely with that person and knowing and trying to build something, which a lot of times now we don't have that being in the younger generation. I know me and you completely different as far as age-wise, but, you know, and things are completely different now. And I think now people don't kind of take, you know, everything as serious as it was before. You know, like in my grandparents' days and everything like that, I mean, they were married, you know, 50 years, you know, but you don't have that now. You know, you have people married 6 months and they like, oh, I changed my mind, you know what I'm saying? So that's just the reality of the situation now. Absolutely. So you have to, you have to know what it is before you even get into that, man. So definitely, that was a good question. So good one right there.
That was a doozy.
We're gonna move on to the next one. Next one says, why does sex mean so much to a man? So apparently, why does sex mean so much to a man is the question we got for this one. So why does sex? Ooh, this is kind of we got to get into it. But you know, we gonna give honest answers. So it is what it is with that. I think it goes back to me, you know, way back in the time, you know, where even, you know, we can go back to slavery times, you know. In my opinion, I felt like, you know, the man was, you know, he was there for breeding, you know, to have kids, and, you know, the slave masters needed them to maybe breed. The more kids you have, the more you offer an offspring. And I think that over time, you know, growing up, you know, older, it just translated over. You know, it felt like you had to be with more women. And then, you know, I think it got lost in perception of what it really was, you know, as far as the marriages and everything. Because later I felt like then there was the marriages and things like that. But, I mean, I feel like that always goes back. You know, there's always have to be a track record because, you know, a guy can sleep with 20, 30, you know, people, whatever. But there's always a reason why. You know, you're not just going to sleep with somebody just for the sake of doing it. Whether it be, you know, you're a sex addict and you got to have it. Or if it's a game to you, you trying to see how many numbers or how many panties, whatever the case may be, what you trying to do. And you have to know that yourself, you know, what it is, because otherwise you just be fooling yourself. So, I mean, I think it really boils down to the history of really what it is, man, of, you know, being important because some guys, you know, a lot of women think that all guys want sex. Not always the case. Some guys do want all the time, and I know there's that double standard. You know, if you a guy and you sleep with 10 girls, you the man. You're like, yeah, that's my boy. But then on the other side, if a female does it, oh, she's a hoe, she's a, you know, all the other names that they call it. And I think, you know, we also as guys, we do the same thing too. You know, we see a chick, oh man, you know, she slept with XYZ.
Right.
And I think now we have to look at ourselves and say, what is the difference? You know, what makes it okay for us and then, you know, bad for them? So I think really, you know, when it comes down to, you know, it means so much, I think it just all depends on the person and what it is. You know, for like I said, for one person it can be addiction, the next person it can be, you know, something they're struggling with, or, you know, I think you just have to really find out in that person if you're willing to even deal with that, you know, because if he calling you and you just a late night joint, you know, you may not want to, you may have to look at yourself and like, hey, you know, it might not be the person for me. So you have to know where you are, you know what I'm saying? You got to set the table what it is for that one. But I know I kind of went along with that one. So, man, you got anything to add to that, man, from what I said?
I mean, I just add a couple things. First, I mean, just to touch on something you said at the very end, you know, you got to look at yourself. If you want to find out how much a guy's into you, how much he really cares about you, you know, stop, you know, putting out for a little bit and see if you're still getting the calls. See if you're still getting the time, you know, spent. See if you're still getting the money. Whatever it is that you're getting out of that, just see if it's more. You'll find out if it's more sincere or not. You know if it's really about you, is it about what you're getting? And then just to take that to another level, you know, not to preach to anybody, but just to be honest with you, we will put a man was made to procreate. We were made to really know to be fruitful and to, you know, to multiply. All right. Unfortunately, as you said earlier, some of us are taking that upon ourselves. Just multiply.
Right.
You know. Honestly, it's a personal thing. Some men don't have the restraint they need to have, obviously. But honestly, a man is physical, a woman is emotional, and we relate differently in that respect. So, you might have had a man that didn't get a lot of love from his mama or from his dad, you know. So, you know, when he feels like when he's sleeping with you, spending time with you that way, you know, he's getting some love. It can be real deep, you know. It's just don't look at the surface on that. But again, it can go both ways. You got to look at what you're doing to promote that, but he's responsible as well. So, you know, I ain't gonna get too much deeper into that because you knocked out the park.
I mean, you got to give them something. I mean, because you know, a lot of people, you know, don't really take the time to understand what it is, you know. And I also think, most importantly to me, over everything that I just said, I think it all comes with maturity.
Yes.
You know, me, I'm only 27 years old. You know, I'm a young cat. You know what I'm saying.
It's some old heads still doing it.
But still,
some old heads still doing it.
You know, I think you, as you get mature, you start to weigh those things about. You know, you see a woman and you look at it. You see the dime piece. I mean, got the banging body. You know, nice smile, everything like that. But then after all that, you know, you factor all that. Then you have to start weighing. You know, is she career, you know, driven? Is she have the same things that I want to do in life? You know. Is she willing to accept my career? You know, being an actor, you know, for me, that's something that I look at too. I need somebody who's going to understand that, hey, I'm an actor. I may travel from this and this. So I think once you get on a mature level, not necessarily age when you're 40, you know, I think, you know, also in yourself, you know, you can be 27, 25, whatever, 50 years old will still be mature.
Definitely.
So I think you have to find, you know, that in yourself with maturity to kind of, where you get to kind of weighing all those other things out. You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
because like I said, on the surface, that's cool. But if she happens to lose her body, then what? You know, so you don't really have nothing. So really, super good question for that.
Awesome question.
So really good thing for that one. So we're going to move on to the next one, man. That was kind of long. We're going to get into the next one. The next one is, why is it that a man could show no love to the good woman he has at home, but show the utmost respect for a side woman who has no love for him at all? Definitely, I definitely got to hear your opinion on this one, man. What's your take on that?
Wow. You know, I guess it kind of boils down to, you know, your relationship you have with that significant other. Again, did you build that relationship on physical?
Yeah.
Or was it built on a foundation where y'all were friends? If you were friends first, or you built that friendship up during, you know, the whole process, then it's easier to be able to talk to you. You know, but if, you know, when we talk, we arguing, and we just going back and forth, then, you know, you don't have that same freedom, and you don't feel like pretty much, you know, giving yourself up like that. Unfortunately, too many men have kind of, for lack of a better term, you know, fallen off the wagon because they started, you know, opening up to someone else, and one thing led to the next, you know, and then they're out there doing something they shouldn't be doing because that person may have had their own ulterior motives. Mm-hmm. So, you know, once you start listening, they just give it attention just to get you off track. And they say, you know, bam, bam, boom, there it is. But
right.
Again, it really boils down to the relationship that you have and how you built it. If you start out with friendship, then you should always be able to talk to your woman about anything. That's how I feel.
Right. And if you also, you have to understand too, if you get to evolve in a relationship with a guy and you know that he has these side chicks or pieces, whatever you want to call them on the side, and you're willing to accept that, then that's it. You have to look into yourself for that one too. If you accepting those things, I feel like if you're going to be in that and you know what it is, then I feel you have no reason to complain because you understand what it is and you're willing to accept that. Me, on the other hand, I feel like if you know, going to be in there and you know that's a problem, cut him off. Bump it. You know, I feel like if he really loves you or wants to be with you, then he would have to do what he have to do to make sure that you're the only one. And a lot of people, you know, a lot of women start to kind of fall back on the standards and everything because they want this guy, you know, he's the best, whatever the case may be. But they really have to look at themselves and say, is he really worth this? Like, I know it's, you know, a lot of women outweigh the men, but still, I mean, you have to look at yourself, you know, as a woman and say, hey, is this guy really worth the trouble of dealing with his drama and all these other chicks? Like, so I think look at yourself, women, and say, hey, if he worth it, you know, hey, do you, boo-boo, whatever works for you. But nah, definitely, you got to look at yourself. And I definitely wouldn't put myself to something like that, the extra headache. You know, it's already hard being in a relationship anyway. But then you got to deal with, you know, this chick here, you know, all types of stuff like that. It's definitely not worth it. So that's a good one, man.
I can sum that up by saying this one phrase. You cannot complain about what you allow. And leave it at that.
That's it. Ain't nothing we can say. That's it. All right, man. This one is, we're going to wrap it up. So this is going to be our last question. So we want to take some time to kind of, you know, look at this one and see what we got. So this one, it says, why don't some men just communicate their issues with their significant other instead of going outside of the relationship? So this is another good one. Another good one, man. I'm going to go ahead and let you spearhead it. Start it off, man.
Again, that jumps out kind of where we left off on the last one. I mean, it boils down to what kind of relationship did you have. I mean, you really gotta look at you, what you expect out of a relationship and what he expects out of a relationship. And so when you came together, you should all kind of had some guidelines, some things in place. And honestly, I mean, it starts from the beginning. How you built it. And I really can't. It's so close to what we just talked about. I don't want to sound redundant, but you got to build it right. You build it right, and your expectations are in the right place. You know, we talked about earlier. I think women's standards have changed. You know,
okay.
And
so when you say women's standards change. You know, because like you said, there's a gap between myself and you. You know, so break it down a little bit to people what you mean when you say the standards have changed. Because I think, you know, people know, but I want to hear, you know, I want them to understand what you mean when you say the standards have changed. So just tell me what you mean by that.
That's a good way to look at it. I would say that if you look at it, let's go way back, like you went earlier to slavery.
Way back. Okay.
Let's go way back.
Okay.
If you go way back, this is old school. Like when a man came and wanted to, you know, spend time with you and wanted to date you, he had to go through your father. All right?
Okay.
When he went through your father, way back in the day, if he wanted to marry you, not only had to go through your father, he had to bring something to the table. Back it could have been camels.
Oh, yeah.
It could have been
horses and mules,
whatever. He had to bring something. So
gotcha.
Number one, that showed he had himself together. You know what I mean? He was serious. And just getting that woman's hand in marriage was a big thing. That was your goal in life. You know what I mean? Because way back then, you know, it wasn't a lot of people having a lot of, you know, outside relationships, having kids early, whatever. You know, everybody was waiting until they got married. So, you know, it was some value built into that whole process. Nowadays, again, and I'm paraphrasing something that I heard somebody else say, you know, women, you know, because of the shortage of men out there, you know what they say, you know, a piece of man is better than no man at all. You got to think about what you're saying. Because... You know, your standards have dropped so low that you're willing to accept some things that you really shouldn't. You don't have a list of things that you expect from a man, as well as a man having the same thing you should expect from a woman. But I think, like you said earlier, the chase is reversed. Like women seem to be chasing men more than men chasing women. All right, so that's really what I mean when I say standards have changed. Your value, you don't have enough value on yourself. You got to really love yourself, have value in yourself. You attract the right person if you treating yourself right. You know you living right. You attract the right person. You know, and that's what I mean about the values have changed.
I think you can't break it down no more than that. I mean, I think that was good. And to add, you know, just a little bit more of what you said. I think, you know, like we already said, you know, this whole dang on forum, we pretty much said, you know, it's all about history. You know, if you look back, think about when you have a kid, you know, and the guy when you have a little girl. If your little girl, you know, she falls, you know, you pick her up, you know, don't cry, you put a Band-Aid on her, you know, you pick her up, you hold her while she cries and everything like that. Now, if your son fall, what you gonna say? Man, get up, you alright, man. So, with that, over time, you've already taught as a, you know, a 2-year-old kid, don't cry. Don't suck it up, you know, and when you get older, what's the first thing they say to you? Man up.
Man up.
Man up.
Suck
You
it up.
play ball? Man up. Suck it up. So I think that has just over time of cycles and cycles of hearing that, you start to embody that.
Yes.
I got to be strong. You know, I got to be the best man. I can't cry. I can't show no emotions. And I think that translates over into the relationship.
Oh, yeah.
So then you have this guy who feel like, I can't talk to you because a guy doesn't do it. That's not what he do. You know, that's not a man because a man, you know, he holds it all in and be tough for that one. And I think we don't know how to separate it. You know what I'm saying? So now it's all about, you know, being the toughest guy and everything like that. I ain't saying you got to sit there and pull your out, write a love letter or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying you have to be, you know, you got to know what it is to be able to feel like you know, like you said, you got to start know how you start off. If you start off talking to that woman, you know, you should be able to talk to her about whatever. But I think now people don't take the time to sit there and know that person. It's like, all right, you meet this person a couple weeks, we go together. You know, that's my girl, that's my dude, or whatever the case may be. So like I said, I think it's all about history. You know, that over time, those cycles, you know, just cycles, events though. But definitely that, man. So yeah, I mean, we've answered all the questions. I hope all the ladies that did submit their questions got all their questions answered. Thank you for all the support. Definitely like to thank my man Tim Jones for coming through, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
You know me, I'm on my grind. See, I come from that bottom.